Well, thank you so much for coming. I know you've all gone to such an effort. Thank you to Sarah, that's really good. And I'm going to do the boring bit of just explain a little bit about DEXIBELL, where we are, and then I'll hand over the exciting tech bit to Luigi and the demonstrating to Ralf. So yeah, thank you. I hope you've all filled out your little tickets, because there are some lovely headphones we're going to give away just at the end that you can go away with, hopefully. So first of all, just on a personal note, to explain a bit about where I come. I'm Mike. I'm the UK brand manager for DEXIBELL. Very privileged to be honest. DEXIBELL is a brand new company, going roughly a couple of years, but with huge heritage behind it. So it came about June 2015 for me, when I was invited, and I was privileged to be invited to be the first person outside of DEXIBELL to actually visit the facilities and see what all this excitement was all about. When I arrived, I got taken down, ushered into this basement, and inside this basement was a pair of monitor speakers, a master keyboard, a laptop, and a throbbing CPU on the desk, this big. Okay, fair enough. Plugged it in, one of the engineers loaded some code from a laptop into this CPU, and I was a bit of trepidation, wondering, am I going to be disappointed, because I knew it was going to be a digital piano. 3 notes in and I was hooked, just on the sound. But it's so much more than just the sound. Luigi will explain in detail, but it's the way you feel when you play the instrument, the feedback you get from it. It analyses how quickly you take your fingers off the keys to introduce different modelling noises. It looks at how quickly you've taken your foot off the damper pedal or pressed the damper pedal to introduce modelling. It's looking at your string resonances and knowing exactly, and it's all down to the really fast CPU that they've used inside the instrument. It's never been done before in a hardware instrument. So that's the really exciting thing, is the feeling you get, and it's so addictive. When you guys, if we do get lucky enough to introduce this to the university, please spend some time playing it, because that's when you get it. When everything you do makes a difference, rather than just playing a note and playing back a sample. It's actually introducing all the other elements of an acoustic instrument, which is really exciting. Anyway, obviously we're DEXIBELL. So before DEXIBELL, which is only a couple of years old, it was actually the Roland Europe facility in Italy. Now, Roland, in their wisdom, decided to close Italy, move everything to Japan for logistics reasons. What they failed to do was notice that actually what they were leaving behind was not just a facility, it was Luigi and his team of people who are geniuses. So yeah, we saw this as an opportunity to help, to actually start up ourselves and do something really, really different. Before that even, none of you are going to know who I'm talking about, because it was years and years ago, but Luigi was involved in Seal. Again, iconic instruments such as the Opera 6, synths. So since 1978, Luigi, I believe, you've been inventing. And we can all look at the iconic instruments such as the RD series of pianos, the V accordions. Okay, it's an accordion, but can you know how difficult it is to make an electronic accordion with all the bellows and so on? It's really, really complicated. Luigi's managed to do it very successfully under the Roland banner. But this is the new thing, DEXIBELL. So 25 years we've been in the industry. In those 25 years, we've released 19 product categories. And within those categories, 168 models of instrument have come about. And within that, 1,377 pieces have been sold worldwide. So massive heritage behind the product. So when we started this project, we didn't want to make just another digital piano. It's pointless. We wanted to completely break the rules. So we wiped the table clean, started from scratch. No old samples, nothing. Everything was done from scratch with this new technology and the new CPU, which has made all the difference. So why DEXIBELL? It's to the UK can be a bit of an odd name. Well, the coolest word, I think, in the audio word is decibel. So it's taken from decibel, X for extra, and the I obviously for Italy, but also as a keynote as well. So that's the idea behind DEXIBELL. The other thing we really wanted to do was make sure that we introduced the best technology into the instrument, which we've done with this new CPU. But also, there's so much more to that. The design of the instrument, as you can see, is different to most things. Designed in Italy, and actually some of the design team that were involved in this do an awful lot of work for Ferrari and Harley Davidson, people like that. So it's a good heritage behind that. So Italian design. And then it's all engineered in Italy. Nothing's farmed out. There's guys in there who I can introduce you to that have developed this right from scratch. All developed in Italy. Also manufactured in Italy as well. So important that it's not farmed out. It's all manufactured and built in the old Roland facilities in Italy. So we're talking about Luigi Bruti tonight. Who's going to be who's coming up here. So without further ado, I'm going to get off this stage and hand it over to the genius who is Luigi. So put your hands together for Luigi. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon. As Mike said, and also Sarah said, I came from Italy, so I beg your pardon about my English. I hope you understand me. Okay, we reinvented the digital piano. We had a dream, the dream to make a digital instrument more near to the acoustic instrument. So reducing all the difference that we heard, that we were used to listen when we were working for Roland. And once we finished the project, we understood we achieved an incredible quality, far above the current standard. And to reach this, we have redesigned all the basic elements of the digital piano. Of course, starting from sound, then playability, the easy to use, the connectivity, the sound system, and aesthetic. So let's start about the sound. We have a completely new sound generation system. We call it True to Life, T2L. For the first time, we have a sound generator that works with sampling and modeling together. Everybody knows that sampling has the benefit to have the most beautiful sound, and modeling has the benefit to modify the sound, so it's more flexible. We now have both systems together, so we can have the beauty of the sampling, but also the flexibility of the modeling. Then we rise up the current quality standard up to 24-bit, 48 kilohertz, and we will check in detail which are the benefits of this increasing about the standard. Let's speak about the playability. Is the only instrument available on the market that has unlimited note polyphony. So even if you play with the damper pedal, even if you layer the sound and you play all the keys on the keyboard, you never miss one single note. And we use 320 oscillators because every single note use also many sound components depending on the harmonics, on the noises, and the sound build up depending what you are doing on the keyboard. So it's a kind of, let me say, real-time operation about the sound modeling. Easy to use. We design a completely lineup, and we use the same operative system for all the model. And moreover, we use a new type of LCD. This one is called the organic LED, and it has a very high contrast, can be seen from any angle under any light condition. And the top one is a regular LCD used by other company in their top model. Connectivity, instrument born with inside a Bluetooth capability, so we can stream the audio from any device like a mobile phone or any kind of iPad into the instrument without connecting any wire. Let's check the sound system. We have a model with amplification and model without amplification. The one that gets speaker and amplification inside has a lot of high technology system to make the sound as much as possible near to an acoustic piano. So we have a psychoacoustic dynamic equalizer, we have a digital bass enhancer, a multi-band compressor, we have also a passive subwoofer to make the sound very linear into the low frequency. And moreover, about the sound pressure level, we have 113 dB SPL, is more than a current acoustic grand piano. So if you want to play with the instrument in a venue with 200 people, roughly, you can do it without amplification. Aesthetic. As Mike said, we had a cooperation with an external designer team that works actually for Ferrari, and we make our new design for the home version completely different from all the other brand. Now, let's go inside about the technology. Everything start on the recording studio, so we brought the real piano in a recording studio, and we use different type of microphone position. So we use a classical 4 microphone, 2 on the player position, 2 on the audience position, plus we use a special microphone, is a sound field that has 4 capsules, so we could record not only the instrument, but the reflection of the environment, and this reflection has been recorded in holophonic method, so in surround. And this 4 capsule takes all the sound with different phases. This is very important because when we reproduce the sound, either on the amplification system or on the line out or on the headphone, you have the perception not only of the stereo image, but also about the depth. And this is thanks to the holophonic recordings. Everything was strictly preamped by tube preamplifier and converted at 24-bit 96 kilohertz. Then we had a good cooperation with one of the most famous tuner, it's called Fabrini. This important tuner stayed with us about 1 month, so not only to tune the strings, but to prepare the piano, and we learned a lot from a piano tuner about how to make the sound more mellow, how to treat the hammer, how to use different type of setting about the damper and the hammer itself. So he gave us a lot of very important points that we use while we record all the data library for the VIVO instrument. Thanks to him, we record 6 of the most famous contemporary piano, but also 1 rare model. From his private collection, we could achieve to record a romantic piano from 1850. It's a Pleyel model. Actually, this model was played by Chopin and was in a perfect condition. So for the first time on a digital instrument, you have the possibility not only to play contemporary acoustic piano, but also one rare model from 1850 with completely different sound. Let's speak about now the technology. Most of the brand use a sound generator in a single chip. This is to reduce, of course, the cost, but it makes a kind of limited possibility on the technology. We start from scratch, from zero, so we decide to use a very strong CPU. Actually, it's a quad-core CPU, and thanks to this CPU, we achieved to make the 24-bit, the 48 kilohertz, the unlimited note polyphony, but also all the articulation, all the modeling in real time. But one very important point is the latency. Latency means when you hit a key, the delay that is from the time you hit the key and when you get the sound. Currently on the market, good latency is between 6 to 10 milliseconds. We are lower than 3 milliseconds, so is one of the is the most quick reaction actually on the market. Lineup, we decide to start with 3 segments: home, portable, and stage. Home is a cabinet with speaker. The portable is a keyboard like this one, but with speaker on board. And the stage model is the one that has a lot of control on the panel. For the lineup, we have 2 models for each segment, and everything is strictly made in Italy. We stress this idea because has been designed, engineered, and are manufactured strictly in Italy. So let's go now inside the true to life, the T2L modeling. I said about the 24-bit and 48 kilohertz, but apart the number, what is the real benefit of having 24-bit? All other models on the market are running at 8-bit or 16-bit, even not linear, so it means sometimes they use 16-bit compressed. We work at 24-bit linear, and the difference, of course, is in the dynamic range. Working at 24-bit instead of 16-bit, you have not the double, not 4 times, you have 256 times bigger, greater dynamic range. And this is huge. It's something that when you try the keyboard, you notice immediately. So from the real pianissimo to the fortissimo. Then we run at 24 kilohertz instead of, 48 kilohertz instead of 44.1, and this gives us a better frequency response. So we have the highest part much more natural. Then the polyphony, as I said, most of the other brand works from 32, it's a kind of piano toy, up to 256. We run at 320, but is the unique model with unlimited polyphony. Now let's check about the sampling. As I said, we have sampling and modeling. Sampling means we record the sound from the real instrument, and depends how long you record the sample. I have a graphics for you, so you can see the orange part and the blue part on the graphics. Orange part means the real recording. The blue part means the looped part. So when the sound is always looping, just fading the volume and the filter. If I can make an example, it's like a movie where you have several photograms, then you finish the memory, you use the last photogram, you repeat always the same, and you fade. The first graphic is what Roland is doing. They use from 1.5 up to 2 seconds of recording. The rest is a synthetic loop. The last graphics is the instrument on the market that was the bigger sample available, and is Kawai. He used 5 seconds of recording, and the rest is a loop. DEXIBELL VIVO used 15 seconds, and in holophonic way. And as you can imagine, in this area, where all the other use a synthetic waveform, just looped, our sound is still live, is still real, so all the harmonics still moving, including the pitch is a little bit moving. That's make the instrument much more natural. Then, of course, we didn't record just one dynamic level. We record several dynamic levels, but you cannot feel when you play with different dynamic, because everything is without any steps. So we call seamless timbre variants. Then this is unique. Is a unique feature I want to explain a little bit in detail. The acoustic piano, when you press a key, you get the hammer that hit the strings, and simultaneously the damper rise up from the strings to make the strings free to vibrate. When you stop the key, the damper stops the strings. But in the acoustic piano, the last 18 notes are without damper. It's done by intention, because these strings are always free to vibrate. It's a kind of resonant chamber. So when you play in staccato mode, even if the single damper stops the strings that you play, the last 18 notes are free to vibrate. So they make some kind of vibration, and they vibrate in sympathetic way. So what is happening? All brands, Roland, Yamaha, Kawai, Casio, Nordlid, they use a reverberation system to simulate this kind of resonance. Is not the real sound, is not the correct way, because these resonants are, as I said, sympathetic, so they does not have all the frequency. What we did is we recorded also the note off. So we record not only the note when you play, but also the sound when you release the key. So we have the real resonance already recorded. You will listen in the detail. Then, in the piano, when you hold some note down, you have the damper that are raised up from the strings. And now if you play some other staccato note, you get these strings vibrating in sympathetic way. And we make the same things by modeling, and the sound that we get from our instrument, I remember, is in holophonic way. So you get the resonance and you feel the body of the instrument, because you get also the depth of the sound. Then we simulate also mechanical noises. So when you release the key, you get some wood sound of the mechanism. And we simulate, as I said, the last 18 note without the damper. And this is another unique part. We call in Italy, we call the forte pedal, is the damper pedal, is the one that make the sustained sound. Also here, all the other brands use a reverberation system. When you press a key and you press the pedal to make the sound longer and wider, they use to add reverberation system. Thanks to our technology, thanks to the very quick CPU, we calculate 88 resonance by the modeling. So every time you play and you press the pedal, we simulate all the resonance of the free strings that are inside an acoustic piano, as well as we simulate the soft pedal to make the sound like 2 strings instead of 3 when you press the pedal and the mechanism in the real piano move. So everything to make a revolutionary instrument that sound just natural. This was our dreams, our intention. And why we call it VIVO? VIVO in Italian means alive, because it's the first instrument that reacts to player articulation. So the sound is never the same, depend if you play staccato, if you play legato, if you use the damper pedal, how long you keep the note pressed. So it's very natural. And now I like you listen the sound, inviting on the stage a great performer, Mr. Ralf Schink. We start with Vivo Grand, is the name of our main grand piano sound. As we said, is 15 seconds and 15-second length of real sample without any loop. You can listen the note that is keep going, and this is something really unique. Yeah, and still going. You can feel it. Yeah. So this is what I told you before about extra large sample. So maybe we can play a note and play some chord just to give again the feeling of how the lowest note is really sustained like a grand piano. Can still feel it. Huh? And this is actually was the next part. So what is the benefit of the 24-bit is a tremendous dynamic range. So from the very pianissimo to the fortissimo, and Ralf can make this example. please try other digital piano. This is something really unique. As unique is the feature of staccato. So as I said, we don't use reverberation system to simulate the internal resonance of the body of the piano and the open strings, but we record the real sound. So now Ralf plays some staccato note in the middle to high section. So what you feel as high resonance has been really recorded, as well as the behavior of the lowest note, because when you hit the lowest note as very big strings and the damper try to stop the strings when you release the note, but cannot stop immediately. Like when you play a bass guitar and you want to stop with the finger, you get some high resonance and the sound doesn't stop immediately. So we have the same behavior if Ralf now play the lowest note with the middle to high dynamic range. So if you try in another digital piano, the sound is fake because it makes something like tom. In this case, you get some resonance and the sound is not closing immediately. And about resonance, let's please check the sympathetic resonance. So now Ralf pressed down some keys, like if in the acoustic piano you were raising up the damper, and playing some other staccato note, you get the sympathetic resonance of the open string. And these resonances are real, recorded in homophonic way, and is something that happens when you play normally, and this kind of resonance are added as an individual component to each single note. So the sound became richer and richer depending what you are doing on the keyboard. So it's a live instrument, it's a VIVO. And about the mechanic, we simulate also the noise of the wooden keys when you release, and of course it's proportional how quick, how fast you release the keyboard. Yeah. And about the sustain, as I said before, we have two types of simulation. One is the noise, because when you press the damper pedal on the acoustic piano, all the felt that rise up simultaneously make a noise like psh, Then when you release the sustain, they rest immediately on the strings and make something like boom. And we have the same noise, and is proportional how strong you hit on the damper pedal. Then, not just the noise, and this is another unique part, we calculate the real 88 resonance, not adding strange reverberation. So now Ralf plays some higher notes without damper, then the same note with the damper. Please check the harmonic that you get under the main sound, and these harmonic are generated by the whole resonance of the piano. Now with the pedal. And this. And please check, this is not reverb, because the sound has different harmonics depending on the sympathetic resonance of the played notes. So it's something, again, unique. Then about polyphony. You can do what you want on the keyboard. You can play forehand, We put even 3-player, 6-hand, and you can use the damper, you can layer the sound. You never miss one single note because DEXIBELL has unlimited polyphony. Also this, try with any other digital instrument is impossible. Now, not only a grand piano sound, we have many sounds inside, and every single sound has been purely recorded using all the noises, all the specific resonance of the instrument that we have recorded. For instance, upright piano. Normally, on the other digital piano, they do upright piano just modifying the patch. So it's a kind of synthesizer sound to make the vertical piano. The sound is completely different on the real vertical piano, and we purely sample, and we listen the sound and some resonance as well. Huh? Actually, the vertical piano is today is used very much on pop music, like Coldplay. So it's a sound that is not just a simple piano that you can use at home. So is used a lot on the music production of the pop music. And Ralf, can you make, for instance, just the resonance if you play staccato? Because these resonance are completely different from the acoustic grand, because the strings of the vertical piano are in front, are kind of X type, and create much more bass on the resonance. So the that you listen is really recorded from the vertical. Then we have a pop piano sound, but to make the pop piano sound, we didn't make any changes on the electronic side. We asked the tuner to make the hammer a little bit harder, so we took the sound originally more bright from the real source. So you just heard yeah. Yeah. I want to say you just heard a layer possibility. So the piano together with a warm pad coming from a vintage synthesizer such an Oberheim synthesizer. Now back to some classical sound. This is another grand piano with the hammer a little bit more treated to make a mellow sound. Now I wait. At least 3 seconds more. Okay. In the beginning, we said about a rare sound from 1850. Is the Pleyel model. Is a fantastic sound, completely different, more mellow on the middle to low part. Is a unique possibility to play this sound live using DEXIBELL VIVO. And of course, we have other sound like an harpsichord from a 17th century. So, as in the piano, we took the resonance when you release the key. In many sounds, like harpsichord, we took some noise, some strange part of the sound that is very important to emulate this type of instrument. Ralf, now I make a joke to you. Do you remember this kind of soundtrack?
I think so. It's used with harpsichord, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. Good. Oh, then about the honky tonk. Even this sound, normally on other digital piano, you just get the piano with some chorus or some detuning effect. We had the chance, using Mr. Fabrini as our tuner, to add a real honky tonk from 1920, and we asked him to detune from real, so we didn't want to make any electronic change on the sound. So this is a real honky tonk. And what's about the ragtime piano? It's slightly different from the honky tonk, because the ragtime had some kind of small metallic dot inside, and we achieve also to rent this kind of very old piano, and thanks to Fabrini also we tuned him, and we get a real ragtime piano. But this time Ralf will play on top of a movie that we did 1 year ago, roughly. And in this movie, you can see most of the part of the new company. So when we changed the name from Roland Europe to DEXIBELL, the first model that we built inside the company, and the first assembly and the first packing before shipping to Los Angeles for the first trade show we did 2 years ago. Okay, so Ralf, you have to be in sync.
He's running the movie and I have to be in sync, so I have to be finished with the song when the movie's finished.
Yeah.
So please keep the fingers crossed.
Ready?
Let's go. I try.
Okay.
I try.
Yeah. sometimes I make the movies quicker or slower. Yeah? I will do it. Some other sound. This technology, so the true-to-life technology, is capable to reproduce any type of sound. For instance, a pipes sound, like a big church organ. So we have 80 sound inside, and the nice thing is that the instrument can load also external sound. We have already a library available on our internet site, but more, the instrument is also compatible with SF2, sound font format. Is a kind of a standard format, so you can search and find any type of sound on internet. You can put on your USB pen and load into the instrument, like the church bell. This was not an internal sound, but by intention, Ralf put on the instrument to explain this feature. Another nice and unique thing is about the lineup. For the first time, all instruments, from the big one to the smaller one that is behind, use the same technology, use the same sound quality, the same number of sound. And this is fantastic, because you can move from a stage model to the portable one to the home version using the same memory, using the same quality. And about the quality, Ralf play now a piece of music on the home version, then he move to the stage version, and then we go on the presentation using the stage version. So this is the home version. Then now we move on the stage model on the S7. Okay, now we go on with the stage, but as I said, same sound we have also on the home model. So let's go now on the vintage electric piano category, so the Wurlitzer sound.
Another example for the Wurli.
Thank you. Thank you. And what about the Hohner clavinet? Was an instrument nice to make a rhythmic part.
And you can again hear the snarling and the note of noise.
And the simulation of electromagnetic organ, so the tone wheels type. We have the simulation of the click of the notes, about the percussion, about the rotary speaker. So this is an example of a rock organ with some distortion. Or what about a jazz organ? Or let's back on the FM area. Somebody of you remember the Yamaha DX7? So this is the FM piano from the DX7. And of course was not just the DX7. Ralf used a layer sound we call a Fantabell sound, so it was an FM piano plus Fantabell. And probably some of you remember the CP70 and CP80 from Yamaha. Was a piano with pickup inside, and was a piano used on stage. The sound was not really like an acoustic grand, but it became a kind of signature sound.
Many artists.
So this is our electric grand, and Ralf, we use split and several other sounds on top. So it was using three parts: the electric grand, bass, and brass, using the expression pedal. And another milestone of the famous sound was the Roland RD 1000. And we have this kind of rock piano inside DEXIBELL. The most famous electric piano was the Fender Rhodes, and we can find a lot of good sample, good quality sample on the market. But what up to now was very difficult to simulate was the transition between the mellow sound if you play soft to the punchy sound if you play loud. And thanks to the sampling and modeling technology, now we could achieve to these sound changes from the mellow to the strong one. possibility to modify single element of the sound inside the T2L, the True to Life technology. For example, we can do in acoustic piano, adjusting the hammer, the noises, the resonance, as well as in the electric piano, it can punch all the noises, the crunch of the sound.
Let's crank up, for example, the hammer noise. Or part of the Rhodes sound is what we call the bell. So reduce this noise now. Now cranking it up. Also key release. So you can really feel the mechanical noises inside the instrument.
So you can make your own sound, just tricking the sound like if you have a real Fender Rhodes, where you adjust all the single element. And let's listen something with
Yeah, that's
layer.
some effects.
Yeah.
Actually, most of the things you've been listening to was completely without reverb, and most of them without any additional multi-effects, just to give you the idea of the pure sound, not of any kind of tweaked sound. Of course, we have a fantastic multi-effect inside the instrument, such as reverb, chorus, phaser, overdrive, and so forth. So in this example, I use the Rhodes sound, but I put some chorus, some reverb, some layered synthesizer sound on the expression pedal, and off we go. Thank you.
As Ralf said, we have DSP inside. We have 6 independent DSP, and they run 32-bit floating, so very high level. And moreover, we have a feature that we call seamless change. So you can have one sound with one effect, and while you hold the sound with sustain, you can change the pitches. You get new sound with new effect while listening still the old one. So you never cut the sound or you stop the current effect. And everything you can do on the instrument, you can memorize, you can program on the internal memory, and you can also use an external support, such as a app for iPad that is called VIVO Editor. So you can connect on the iPad, you can be helped by the graphics of an iPad, and you can memorize all the result inside the instrument. But we have many different applications, not only the editor. We have a unique app that we call Xmure, and this is an arranger, so is an accompaniment, but not based on MIDI, is based on audio. So for the first time, we are capable to change in real time the audio depending on the real-time chord change. So we have many patterns inside iPad or iPhone as well. You can connect with USB cable on the keyboard. The app recognizes the chord that you play on the keyboard, and you can play along accompaniment that are based on audio. This is an example what you can do using VIVO together with Xmure. You can also use the MIDI master keyboard function that you have on the S7, on the stage model, and still using the iPad with the software application, you can drive software synthesizer using 4 different zones, and everything is under control using the dedicated encoder.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ralf. So today we have a real opportunity. We have a real grand piano over there. We decided to make not a comparison, but just a trial between a digital piano with its own amplification and a real grand piano, and side by side to check. Of course, we do not want to compete with an acoustic piano. We never can substitute an acoustic piano. But just to give you an example how near we are with the sound and how strong is the amplification that can reach you directly without any speaker system. The microphone that you see has been put purely to record the video. So we need the audio from the instrument for the video that we are shooting. So there is no sound coming from PA on this example. Thank you. So, as an end part of our presentation, we have a special guest today. We have a fantastic musician and came as well from Italy, and we like to make usage of a real violin together with a digital piano. Please help me on welcoming Valentino Alessandrini on stage.